guys, welcome to today's video. If you guys are new, subscribe. If you like it, then give it a thumbs up. Today, we're back with another seated, not involving a physical car video, but we are going to be obviously talking about cars. And today, as you guys saw in the title, we are going to be rating YouTubers, car YouTubers, obviously, the cars. Their cars. And the reason we're filming a sit-down video today is because, like I've mentioned previously on my social media, I am in Michigan. I've kind of realized that the only car content I can find in Michigan is in Detroit area. And Detroit is 2+ hours from where I'm at, so it's actually been kind of hard to find time to get out there, and then once I'm out there I have to plan. It's been complicated. So instead of that, we're gonna be rating YouTubers' cars on a scale of 1 to 10. I tried to pick YouTubers from different parts of the world, but also at the same time the car culture I feel like so connected that a lot of these people are gonna be in a similar space, and I did pick cars that kind of align with this channel. Since we don't do a ton of like JDM builds, drift builds, stuff like that, even if it was a YouTuber that does do that kind of stuff, I picked their exotic or sports, mostly exotics. So we're gonna hop right in. I'm gonna scoot my little butt over a little bit. And my butt's not little, but I mean, whatever, we don't need to talk about that. Okay, I'll put the different photos up right here. Keep in mind, a lot of these YouTubers have like 9 million cars, and I'm not gonna rate all their 9 million cars unless I could find a photo of all their cars at once, which I try to do, so we'll get into it. If you guys want me to do a part 2, then go down below, comment which YouTubers you guys want me to rate, not the YouTuber, but their cars, and I will do so. So, starting with number 1, we are starting with Stradman James. I'm not doing his entire collection right now, I feel like because right now it's in the middle of like a transition period, since it does seem like he's selling a lot of his cars to buy a hypercar, P1 Bugatti. Maybe it's kind of the vibes I'm getting here. First, we're starting with 2 of actually my favorites of his cars. Maybe not the specification / color combinations, but we're gonna start with his Aventador and his Gladiator. First, we're gonna do this 1 to 10. 10 is like perfection, okay? 1, kind of ass, okay? Just saying. Gladiator, I am going to give a literal 8 to, because it's one of the first times I saw a Gladiator that was lifted on this level with this size wheels, and I actually love the purple just because I feel like Jeeps are meant for vibrant colors, and this gets an 8 because I absolutely love it, and especially since he's doing some sort of, I think he's doing like a Hellcat engine in it. I don't know what he's doing, maybe a Demon, I don't know. It's gonna be making a lot of power, and I think he's doing a 6x6 build. I don't know how true this is, it's just stuff I've seen on the internet, but even before that, in this photo, absolutely beautiful. I love the Gladiators if they're lifted. If they're not lifted, they look kind of horrible, so sorry. Now, the Aventador. The car itself gets a 7. I love Aventadors. I'm not a huge fan of how they drive. There is something about them that you're not gonna get in any other car right now, especially since no one's really making cars that raw anymore. Big creds to Lambo for keeping a single clutch, even after everyone complains about it, but the people who complain about it still love it. So I don't know if we'll be seeing a dual clutch form of the Aventador. I know there's talks about the new Performante version of the S. I don't know, they go kind of crazy. I thought the SVJ was a Performante version of the SV, which it was a Performante version of the, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Whether or not, I'm a huge fan of the Aventador. Not the biggest fan of how it drives, I said, but it is exhilarating, and there's no other car that feels like that. The color combo on his car, I liked when it was just purple. I'm never a fan of white wheels, and I'm rarely ever a fan of a carbon hood. Really only just on Porsches, and on the Lambo I'm not a huge fan. But total with that, we'll bump it down to a 6 because of the color options and stuff. But 6 out of 10, hey, not bad, you know what I mean? In the next photo we have Stradman's newest addition of the garage, a Ferrari 458, and we're gonna give this an 8 just because, A, I'm a huge fan of the 458. If the 458s didn't decide to go back up in price, which I kind of knew was gonna happen, I would have tried to steal one at my price range. But that kind of only really was happening for like 3 months, and then they're back up now. And I can't afford them anymore, so. Now, the other reason this gets such a high rating is because, in my personal opinion, black is the best color on a 458. I would rather it have yellow calipers. I don't know if Ferrari does carbon ceramics and steel brakes, red and yellow, I don't know, I know it's a Porsche thing. But my dream spec 458 is black, yellow calipers, the black wheels, same wheels in the photo, buckets, like race seats, yellow stitching on the inside and all the carbon options. Yes, if I ever buy a 458, just know it's probably gonna look like that. Next, we are on to Salamandra. Now, Salamandra has an ever-changing garage, and I cannot keep up. Kind of fallen out of watching his videos, not for any reason. Actually, a certain reason. If you're watching this, I miss the old squad. I actually used to watch a lot of Salamandra. I missed when it was him, Farshad, and Buddy. But, with that being said, I haven't seen his videos in a little while. These are the most recent photos of cars I think I know he has, but he did just buy a Pista, one of my favorite cars ever. I've never even driven one, so if you get me a Pista, please God, do so. Email me. Thanks. His Pista spec is not exactly what I would go for, but I absolutely love it still. I know it sounds weird. I am going to rate this a 9 just because I absolutely love Pistas. I love that there's so many different specs of the Pista. I'm not sure how many they made actually. I've been wondering lately if they made a lot of these. I should probably look into that. But I'm going to rate it a 9 because I love my favorite thing on a special series Ferrari is the gray Alcantara interior. And obviously the Pistas come with the sports race seats already. That is my favorite combo. If I were to ever buy a 430 Scuderia, I would spec those gray Alcantara seats. And I like that he had the car actually matching gray on gray, which is cool. I just don't know if I like the stripe. I think this would have been like perfect spec if he went stripeless on this, but obviously you can't. I mean, maybe you can delete the stripe. I don't know. So yes, that gets a 9. So that's the highest contender. I love Pistas, huge fan. Now to his 720S. I don't know if he still has this, but let's pretend he does. I think he does. The 720S, I will give an 8 to. The 720S in my head is like almost a 10, right? Because it's just like one of the greatest cars for the money right now, especially in the used market. Insane, but I don't know. The fact that it's a wrap kills me because I don't like wraps. I wish it was like a factory purple would make this way higher on my scale. Not a huge fan of the wheels itself. I like the purple on gold. Not a huge fan of gold anyway, but purple on gold is cool. But if I were to spec a 720S, I always would go for that black. It's like an amethyst black or something like that, or amethyst purple. Whatever it is, it's almost black, but in sunlight has like a purplish tint. And that's how I'd spec it. So this is close, right? So I gotta give it a, what did I just give it? A 7? No, 8? Probably an 8. I probably think I gave it an 8. If I didn't, I'm sorry, I'm stupid. We're gonna lock in 8. I'll give it an 8. Now, this is his garage, I believe, right now. His garage is a little unusual right now. I'm assuming he's probably gonna buy a hypercar sooner or later. That's kind of what it seems like is going on with his garage, because 6 months ago or something, the dude had like a lot more cars that were very impressive. The Rolls, I'll give a 7. I'll give a 6. I'm not the biggest Rolls guy. I like them. I appreciate them. I've actually never driven in one or driven one, so I can't have a full opinion on it. I love the color. It's almost like a Voodoo or like a Yas, almost Yas Marino with a little more blue. I'd say probably closer to Voodoo blue. Love the color. So yeah, we'll give that a 6. I just, price of Rolls, just can't do it. Can't do it. There's other cars I would buy for the price. But again, I haven't driven it, so I don't know. The DB11, give it a 6.2 as well. No, I'm gonna give a 5. I'm not a huge fan of convertibles. Anytime they're soft top, it's very rare. The only cars I could do that is pretty much just Porsches. I'm not a big soft top guy, especially on the DB11. I think it kills a lot of the look of it. Back there is his E63S wagon, which I will give an 8 to, because I am a huge wagon fan, because I have a puppy, which makes me a DILF, and DILFs drive wagons, so okay. Smart car, 10, obviously, and the car in the corner, I don't even, the G-Wagon, I will give an 8 to. No, definitely not. I'll give a 7 to, just because I like the new G-Wagon. If it was a 4x4, it'd probably get close to a 10, because I love those, especially for the price right now. Used market, those have dropped a lot, and I hear good things about the new G-Wagon. I hate the old G-Wagon, but I'll give the new G-Wagon a good rating. Next up on the list is SeeThroughGlass. Now, I know he did just sell this car, but that would only leave me with one car. So we're gonna pretend he didn't sell this car. We're gonna rate it because I love Carrera T's, and I love what he did with this car, and I love the fact that he drove it around the world. I think that's awesome. I'm gonna give this car a 9, just because it's a good car. It has a good history behind it, and I love the color. Any green Porsche is the best Porsche, what? I'm gonna learn if I buy one. He has the ski box, which I love. I just like the safari look that he went on it. I love Porsche safari cars, and I like that he did it with a Carrera T. I wish it had buckets. If it had buckets and a manual, it'd get a way higher score in my book, but it doesn't, so it stays where it's at. Next up is his 360. You guys are gonna yell at me for this one, but let me explain. I'm gonna give this a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7 because I'm not a huge fan of the 360s, and let me explain why before you guys get your panties in a wad, okay? I do like Challenge Stradales, but I'm still not obsessed with them, and I'll explain to you why the 360 is a weird one for me. I prefer a 430, especially a 430 Scuderia, and I prefer the older cars like a Testarossa, or obviously any of the hypercars they used to make, like the F40 or the Enzo, obviously. But I think the 360 right now is at a really awkward space for me and my eyes, because I think it's right in between a modern and a classic, right? It's not quite a classic yet, in my opinion, because it is an early 2000s car, which doesn't quite make it a classic, and then the early 2000s cars, they're quite old for right now. So I find the 360 to just be too outdated, but not outdated enough to where it just becomes a classic in my eyes. So it's just that really awkward in between. I prefer the 430 styling over it. I think they did a good job of updating that, so it gets a 7. But it is a good spec, classic red on tan Ferrari. You can't go wrong. Now, moving on to cars with Luke. Luke is a new and upcoming YouTuber. I really enjoy Luke's content. I spoke to the guy a couple times. He's a really nice guy. And again, this is a car that he is literally selling as we speak right now, or maybe even sold by the time this video is live. I don't know. But we had to do it because it's a GT4. You guys know how much I love GT4s. He has a white 718 GT4. I'm gonna rate this an 8. I'm gonna rate this an 8 for a couple reasons. The reason it didn't get a 9 or a 10 is because, well, it's a 718. And as much as I love the 718s, and as much as there are things you can do to fix that sound issue, especially with JCR's new, oh my god, JCR's new OPF delete exhaust sounds absolutely amazing and changed my mind on that entire car. The OPF delete. With OPF, still, it's okay. But it is a 718, and there's something about the 718s and the way that Porsche released it, and the fact that they decided to release pretty much the same engine in the GTS, Boxster and Cayman GTS, and I just don't know what it's going to do to value, and that's why I wouldn't touch one of those cars right now, as much as I really wanted to when I heard JCR's, and it gets a point down for the tire stickers. I'm sorry, Luke, I can't do tire stickers, and if I ever do them, well, I'm a hypocrite. I don't know if I could do it, but the photo's good. So let's say say it was a 7 and the photo bumped it up to an 8. Solid car. I'm looking forward to what Luke gets next. Now, moving on to Mr. JWW, another YouTuber that has a lot of cars. So we're gonna pick some of them. And ironically, I might have picked my favorites by accident. Starting with his 992 Turbo S. Absolutely beautiful spec. He went with Gentian Blue, which is one of my favorite colors Porsche's making right now, on that Turbo S with the sports exhaust. I like the circle tips. I know a lot of people want the old Turbo S exhaust back. I can go with the circle tips. Even though you get the circle tips on the normal 911s right now with the sports exhaust, I still think it's so proper on the Turbo S. Things they've done to this car. This is getting a 9. We haven't gotten to a 10 yet. We are gonna get to a 10 on one of these, but this is gonna get a 9. It's pretty much perfect. I just need to leave room for a 10. Moving on, another car in his collection is his Chalk 991.2 GT3 on carbon ceramics manual. Oh, it is everything I want in a vehicle. I wasn't planning on it, but no, I'm gonna give it a 9. If it didn't have a wing, it'd get a 10. I'm a huge touring fan, one of my favorite cars in the world. I just think as soon as you add the wing, you then stray away from the classic 911, because then you've taken that beautiful shape and added a wing. See what I'm saying with the okay, it gets a 9. If it was a touring, you'd definitely get a 10 in that spec. That is like one of the best specs you can do on a 991.2 GT3. And again, I just kind of have to leave room for a 10 because we have one coming. Next up is his TDF. F12 TDF. I'm not sure if he still has this, but let's assume he does. I'm also going to give that a 9 just because the TDF is one of my favorite cars in the entire world. The red is obviously a solid spec on the TDF. Being a Ferrari, not that is exactly my color of choice. Probably go for a black or a blue TDF. But with that being said, absolutely love it, and the car itself just gets it a 9 because it's a TDF. Moving on, TJ Hunt. I'm trying to speed this video up a little bit. I'm trying to get all the YouTubers, but I'm also trying to keep the cars within the realm of cars that I kind of work with on this channel. We are doing his Lamborghini Aventador. Again, you guys kind of know what I feel about Aventadors, but his is stock, so I like his spec better than Stradman's, no offense, just because it is, I mean, it's an Aventador, and it is yellow on yellow, which is a good spec for an Aventador, so we're gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I don't know what I gave Stradman's. I might have given it the same. Moving on to Obsessed Garage. This is getting a 9. I am a huge fan of the E92, and I think this spec is literally perfection. I'm not exactly sure what color this is. It could be, it's the same color as Spencer Burke's old one. I can't remember what the color's called. Interlagos. I'm not sure if this is Interlagos. It does look kind of like Interlagos, but whether it is or not, with the comp wheels and the yellow calipers, oh my god, beautiful. Again, I'm only giving it a 9 because I gotta leave room for a 10, but wow, stunning. That actually makes me want one right now. The last YouTuber. We had to do Manny Cohen just because Manny Cohen is now a YouTuber. He's actually like one of the biggest car YouTubers right now, just because I feel like he had such a big following before. As soon as he hopped on YouTube, everyone was wanting to get on there. He's doing all the videography right, and his channel is really entertaining. He is super funny. Sometimes he's a bit awkward, but this is a collection that I had to leave room for a 10 because one of these cars is going to get a 10, but we're going to start with his Chiron, his Hermes Edition Chiron, which is off-white on off-white on off-white, we're going to call it. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to give it a 9 just because one of these cars gets the 10. I had to leave room, but that spec is absolutely perfection. I think, in my opinion, Manny Cohen, if he has similar taste as you, I can't say he has everyone's taste because his taste sometimes is interesting, is one of the best car speckers, we're gonna call that's a word, of all time. In my opinion, some of the work he's done, especially collaborating with these designer companies, in my opinion, absolutely stunning. Moving on to his McLaren P1, which he replaced all the body panels with exposed matte carbon fiber and a white interior on a McLaren P1. I'm the biggest fan of a white interior. I'm the biggest fan of exposed carbon fiber, let alone exposed matte carbon fiber, and let alone the McLaren P1, so this gets a 10. This is the car I had to wait for that gets a 10. Absolutely one of my dream cars in the entire world. If my life can hustle and speed up a little bit, I will try to buy this off of him. I swear to God, I'm not lying. I plan on it. Unless it has like 80,000 miles or gets a car accident, I will try to buy this car off of him, so this might be in my garage one day, because there's no way I'm going through the work to do exactly what he did again. Now, moving on to the last car of the video, the Pagani Huayra Hermes Edition. I'm gonna give this car a 9, and let me explain why. First of all, I think this is one of the best spec'd Paganis in the world. Love it or hate it, I know it's definitely an edgy build, but that brown carbon, brown exposed carbon with I think a brown interior, I think it has like a tan or a brown interior, on a Pagani Huayra, which is already such an art form, I think is the perfect color for the car. There might be better colors. I probably would appreciate an exposed matte carbon with white interior one, but that car gets a 9 just because the Huayra is one of my favorite cars in the entire world. The only reason it doesn't get a 10 is for 2 reasons. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Is because it's not a Zonda. The newer gen Zondas with a manual transmission, one of the only other cars in my book, there's a couple others, that would get a 10, no matter what spec it was in. I think one of the only greatest cars in the entire world to drive, other than the new T50 that's coming out, because I'm sure that's going to be absolutely insane, is a manual new gen Zonda. I can't even name some of them off the top of my head because, as you know, these owners get to kind of name their different creations. But a couple of the Zondas I've seen, the newer generation Zondas, in a manual, just, I can't imagine what that's like to drive. An NA V12 with a manual transmission in that, I'd probably give it an 11, actually, if it was in the right spec. So, without further ado, guys, let me know if you guys agree or disagree down below. Let me know if you want to see me do this with any other YouTubers. And subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I go back to California around the next upload, so we might have another sit-down upload unless I can film car content out here, and then we're back to the normal programming. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Subscribe. Peace.